Somewhere along the way, you were taught to feel everything deeply, to internalize every reaction, to treat every word as a verdict on your worth. That lesson quietly weakened you. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every insult that stayed with you did so for one reason. You allowed the outside world access to your inner world. You believed that sensitivity was strength and openness was virtue. You believed that if you felt more, you would live better. That belief made you predictable. It made you controllable. It made you fragile in a world that rewards composure. Machiavelli never lived this way. He observed people from a distance, not with bitterness, but with precision. He watched behavior the way a surgeon studies disease, without panic, without attachment. He understood something most never will. Peace is not found by being sensitive. Peace is built by removing what allows others to disturb you. Emotional immunity is not cruelty, it is freedom. When nothing reaches your core without permission, nothing can control you. This is not about becoming numb, it is about becoming sovereign. When praise no longer inflates you and criticism no longer wounds you, you reclaim your center. When love does not weaken you and hate does not provoke you, you become unreadable. That unreadability is power. People cannot manipulate what they cannot touch. They cannot destabilize what does not respond. They cannot defeat a mind that does not kneel emotionally. The first illusion that must be destroyed is the belief that you matter to others in the way you imagine. Most people move through life assuming their intentions, loyalty, and honesty will be reciprocated. They expect fairness as if it were a law of nature. Machiavelli saw the truth beneath that hope. People act from self-interest. Value is conditional. Attention is transactional. Loyalty lasts only as long as benefit remains. This is not cruelty. It is structure. Once you accept it, disappointment loses its grip on you. Pain intensifies when you assume it is personal. Betrayal feels catastrophic when you believe it reflects your worth. Disrespect cuts deepest when you assume conscience guides others. In reality, most actions are strategic. Insults are attempts to elevate position. Silence is often a provocation. Lies are tools of convenience. When you react emotionally, you confirm vulnerability. You signal where the pressure points are. You show others how to reach you. That is how leverage is created. Strength begins the moment you stop interpreting behavior through emotion and start reading it through intent. Ask what is gained, not what is meant. Ask what role you play in another person's outcome. This shift alone breaks emotional enslavement. You stop spiraling. You stop personalizing. You stop bleeding energy over things designed to provoke reaction. To solidify this strength, you must abandon behaviors that expose you. Over-explaining is weakness. Reasons are irrelevant to those who seek results. Sympathy is a currency rarely spent without expectation. Oversharing wounds does not create connection, it creates weapons. Doubt spoken aloud becomes leverage. Guilt confessed becomes control. Machiavelli would tell you to guard your inner world as territory. Reveal nothing that does not serve position. Speak less. Show less. Be difficult to read. The world does not reward emotional depth. It rewards emotional discipline. Most people are ruled by mood. Their confidence rises and falls with attention. Their identity collapses under rejection. You must build your worth on something insulated. When validation is unnecessary, you become dangerous. When approval is irrelevant, you become free. Praise loses power, criticism loses access. You are no longer reactive, you are deliberate. Indifference is misunderstood. It is not apathy, it is control. It is the ability to decide what deserves response and what does not. It is the ability to walk away from anything that diminishes you. When you expect nothing, disappointment cannot find you. When you fear nothing, manipulation fails. This is not isolation, it is authority over your own state. To become untouchable, emotions must be mastered. Most people claim logic while living under impulse. One remark shatters them. One loss defines them. Their emotions govern their actions. Machiavelli understood that power cannot be ruled by feeling. Emotion is exposure. Anger reveals weakness. Sadness invites intrusion. Guilt opens doors. If someone can provoke a reaction, they command you. Freedom requires discipline, not suppression. Emotions are tools when controlled. Charm can disarm, silence can intimidate, anger can focus. But uncontrolled emotion is chaos. Never allow eruptions, never display what affects you. The moment someone knows what moves you, they own a lever. Public vulnerability is not courage, it is risk. Carry pain privately, rebuild in silence. There is no reward for emotional exhibition. The more you reveal, the easier you are to dismantle. A strategic mind smiles when useful, laughs when advantageous, and trusts no one with its core. You owe no one access to your interior life. Self-control grows through resistance. When insulted, do not answer. When disrespected, withdraw attention. When abandoned, remain still. Silence shifts power. Silence forces projection. Silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds fear. Predictability invites attack. Mystery disarms it. Observe triggers. Identify who unsettles you. Break the pattern deliberately. Emotional detachment is trained. It is built through repetition. Calm where reaction is expected. Stillness where outrage is demanded. This is psychological dominance. Machiavelli understood appearance must be managed. A man should appear humane while remaining capable of the opposite. Control is the objective. You cannot govern the world until you govern yourself. Part B. If you want to master being unaffected, you must understand people not as they claim to be, but as they function. Most walk through life believing words carry truth and emotions signal loyalty. That belief keeps them blind. Machiavelli saw through it. He understood that ambition, fear, hunger, and insecurity move people far more reliably than virtue. Every interaction contains an agenda, whether spoken or hidden. Even kindness often seeks return. Even loyalty waits for reward. Weak men are shocked by betrayal because they never studied motive. They say he would never do that to me, or she is different. Power begins when you abandon that fantasy. The moment someone gains leverage over you, emotional, financial, or social, they change. Or more accurately, they reveal themselves. Trusting appearances is how people lose position. Expecting conscience is how people get replaced. A disciplined mind stops asking what was said and starts asking what is avoided. It stops wondering who likes them and starts calculating who benefits. Compliments hide desire. Promises hide conditions. Affection hides expectation. Once you see this clearly, disappointment disappears. You are no longer naive. You are prepared. This does not make you paranoid. It makes you perceptive. Paranoia imagines threats without evidence. Perception observes patterns without emotion. Watch how people treat those with no status. Watch how they speak when they think no one important is listening. Watch how they react when you succeed or withdraw. Behavior under low incentive reveals character faster than any confession. A Machiavellian mind listens more than it speaks. Silence draws out intention. Distance exposes impatience. People reveal themselves when they believe you are not watching closely. That is why you must reduce your visibility. The more you explain yourself, the more material others have to manipulate. The less you say, the more they project. Projection reveals insecurity and desire. Never rush to correct assumptions. Let people believe what suits them. Underestimation is a strategic gift. When others think you are harmless, they become careless. When they assume weakness, they relax their guard. When they think you are predictable, they plan poorly. Information flows toward the quiet observer. Trust is the most dangerous illusion of all, not because betrayal is rare, but because it is common. Trust is not permanent. It exists only while it serves both sides. Once interest shifts, trust fractures. Building your life on trust alone is building on glass. The disciplined man uses trust but never depends on it. He verifies. He prepares alternatives. He never anchors his survival to another person's consistency. People who beg for trust are already weak. Those who swear loyalty often seek advantage. Real power does not plead. It engineers reliability through structure, reputation, and consequence. Trust does not need to be genuine. It needs to be convincing long enough to achieve outcome. This is not immorality. It is realism. The man who trusts blindly is easier to control than the man who trusts nothing. Blind trust forgives betrayal repeatedly. It believes excuses. It clings to hope long after evidence has expired. This is how people become trapped. They confuse trust with love and tolerance with virtue. In truth, trust is leverage. Whoever understands this holds the balance of power. To become unaffected, you must sever emotional dependency. Most people derive identity from attention, affection, and inclusion. When these vanish, they collapse. That collapse is addiction revealing itself. A man who needs approval will betray his own interests to keep it. He will surrender logic to maintain belonging. He will trade power for comfort. You must build an internal foundation strong enough to stand alone. That means learning who you are without applause, who you are without witnesses. Most avoid this question because silence exposes weakness. They fill space with noise, relationships, distraction. But solitude is the forge. If you can sit alone without reaching, without spiraling, without numbing yourself, you are becoming formidable. Independence does not mean isolation. It means your identity is not negotiable. Love becomes addition, not oxygen. Praise becomes acknowledgement, not fuel. Rejection becomes information, not injury. When nothing external defines you, nothing external can destabilize you. People sense need instantly. Desperation repels respect. When you need nothing, you reverse gravity. Others begin seeking your attention. They test your boundaries. They attempt to impress. This is not ego. It is structure. The one who can walk away controls the exchange. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Appear to want what others want, but never reveal what you truly need. Better still, reduce your needs until no one can exploit them. Strip away habits that keep you dependent. Abandon the urge to be understood. You do not exist to be explained. You exist to move strategically. Build routines that reinforce self-sufficiency. Discipline creates stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence creates deterrence. When your peace is internally generated, it cannot be stolen. When your worth is self-assigned, it cannot be negotiated. There will be attempts to pull you back into weakness. You will be accused of being cold, distant, changed. Those accusations are admissions of lost access. Let them go. You owe no one your vulnerability. Your life is not a service for emotional comfort. Being unaffected is not emptiness. It is sovereignty. You choose what matters. You choose when to engage. You choose when to withdraw. In a world ruled by impulse, the man who governs himself governs outcomes. Control is the root of all power. When you stop reacting on command, something shifts. Manipulators lose leverage. Provocations fail. Drama collapses. You move through chaos untouched because you no longer seek safety from others. You became your own shelter. This is how you outlast liars, users, and opportunists. You become unreadable. You become scarce. You become calm where others panic, prepared where others hope, silent where others plead. That is how you survive among wolves without becoming one. The prince who trusts appearances falls first. The one who studies motive endures. Peace is not found by believing the world is kind. Peace is found by seeing clearly and choosing control. Say less than you know. Show less than you have. Expect betrayal without bitterness. Plan without announcing. Move without explanation. The man who sees what is coming does not bleed. To reach the final state of being unaffected, you must confront the most dangerous dependency of all, the need to be needed. Most people do not want love, they want confirmation. They want proof that they matter, that they exist, that their presence has weight. When that confirmation disappears, they panic, they chase, they bargain, they collapse. This is not connection. This is hunger. Machiavelli would tell you that the man who depends on affection will always be governed by those who grant or withdraw it. He will betray his own interests to keep warmth. He will surrender authority to avoid abandonment. This is how chains are built quietly, through comfort, not force. You must dismantle this dependency at the root. Ask yourself, who are you when no one chooses you? When no one applauds? When no one checks on you? Most men avoid this question because the answer scares them. They fear emptiness. They fear insignificance. So they drown it with relationships, noise, ambition, attention. But strength is built in the space they avoid. Solitude is not punishment. It is refinement. When you spend time alone without distraction, you begin to hear your real thoughts, not the ones shaped for others. You learn what you value without negotiation. You learn what you will tolerate and what you will not. This is where identity hardens. The man who cannot stand alone will always be manipulated in company. The man who can walk alone chooses companionship rather than begging for it. That difference changes everything. Choice creates power. Need destroys it. This is why you must stop outsourcing meaning. Stop expecting people to complete you. Stop leaning on validation to stabilize your mood. If someone leaves, let them. If someone forgets you, let them. Your worth does not fluctuate with attention unless you allow it to. Emotional self-sufficiency does not mean you reject intimacy. It means intimacy is no longer a requirement for stability. You can enjoy closeness without clinging. You can accept love without surrendering control. You can lose people without losing yourself. Most are terrified of silence because silence reveals dependence. They need constant stimulation because without it, their inner world feels empty. But emptiness is not a flaw. It is space. Space can be filled with discipline, clarity, purpose. Silence is where resolve is forged. Build routines that reinforce autonomy. Physical training teaches endurance. Mental discipline teaches restraint. Order teaches control. When your days have structure, you are less vulnerable to emotional turbulence. Chaos invites manipulation. Stability repels it. This is also where you learn to manage pain correctly. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. The undisciplined broadcast pain, seeking relief. The disciplined absorb pain privately and convert it into insight. Every loss teaches. Every betrayal informs. Every disappointment sharpens boundaries. Do not rush to heal in public. Public healing invites interference. Private rebuilding creates strength. Carry your scars without advertising them. Let results speak where words would weaken you. When you stop reacting emotionally, you change the balance in every interaction. Insults fall flat. Provocation fails. Guilt loses grip. People rely on predictable responses. When those responses disappear, control collapses. This does not make you cruel. It makes you selective. Compassion without boundaries is self-destruction. Detachment allows compassion without self-sacrifice. You can care without being owned. You can help without being drained. The unaffected man does not seek to be understood. He seeks to be effective. He does not explain himself to those who cannot influence outcome. He does not justify decisions to those without stake. Explanation is often an attempt to regain approval. Approval is no longer currency you accept. Rejection becomes irrelevant when you no longer need inclusion. In fact, rejection becomes information. It reveals alignment. It shows you who sees value and who does not. Those who do not are not enemies, they are simply irrelevant. Withdraw presence strategically. Absence creates contrast. Contrast creates reflection. People only feel value when it is removed. This is not manipulation, it is reality. What is always available is taken for granted. What is scarce is respected. Disappear without announcement. Do not explain. Let silence do the work. While others speculate, you build. While they wonder, you refine. When you return, it is from a position of strength, not need. The comeback is never loud. Loud returns signal insecurity. Quiet re-entry signals dominance. You do not need to prove growth. Growth is felt. Never seek revenge. Revenge binds you to the past emotionally. Power moves forward. Let success correct the narrative. Let distance dissolve old dynamics. Those who underestimated you will explain your rise to themselves without your help. This is the final shift from reaction to authorship. You stop living in response to others and start writing outcomes deliberately. You choose where energy flows. You choose which battles matter. You choose when to speak and when to remain silent. When your inner world is fortified, external chaos loses influence. Praise no longer inflates you. Criticism no longer destabilizes you. Loss no longer defines you. You become consistent regardless of environment. This consistency is rare. It unsettles others. They cannot read you. They cannot predict you. They cannot leverage you. Mystery creates caution. Caution creates respect. Being unaffected is not about suppressing emotion. It is about governing it. You feel fully but act selectively. You do not deny emotion. You deny it authority over behavior. This is how sovereignty is built, not through dominance of others, but mastery of self. The man who controls his reactions controls outcomes. The man who needs nothing negotiates from strength. When nothing external can move you, you become immovable. When you are immovable, the world adjusts around you. That is the quiet law of power. You are no longer shaped by circumstance. You shape response. You shape distance. You shape meaning. You become the calm center others orbit without understanding why. This is the stage where you are no longer affected. Not because nothing touches you, but because nothing owns you. Now comes the final transformation where nothing reaches you because nothing inside you is exposed. This is not numbness. This is sovereignty. You are not empty. You are sealed. The world can touch your surface, but it can no longer enter your core. That is what it means to be truly unaffected. Most men think strength is resistance. They harden themselves against pain and call it power. That is fragile. Resistance requires constant effort. Sovereignty requires none. When you stop needing outcomes, you stop fearing loss. When you stop fearing loss, you stop being controllable. Control always enters through attachment. Remove attachment and manipulation dies. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He knew that the man who appears calm in chaos terrifies those who depend on disorder. He knew that the man who does not rush cannot be rushed. He knew that the man who does not explain cannot be cornered. And above all, he knew that the man who governs himself quietly governs the environment without force. At this stage, you stop performing for the world. You stop curating yourself for approval. You stop adjusting your tone to be accepted. You do not seek agreement. You do not seek validation. You move with internal alignment. That alignment becomes your authority. People will test this. They will provoke you. They will question you. They will attempt to pull emotional reactions from you because that is how they measure power. When nothing comes, they grow uneasy. Silence destabilizes those who rely on noise. Calm disarms those who rely on chaos. You will notice a shift. Conversations change when you speak less. People reveal more when you reveal nothing. They fill the gaps you leave. They project assumptions. They expose motives. The less you explain, the more they tell on themselves. This is not cruelty. It is clarity. You are no longer obligated to participate in every emotional exchange. You choose where your attention goes. Attention is energy. Energy is power. You do not give power freely. Being unaffected means you no longer confuse emotion with truth. You feel anger, but you do not act on it immediately. You feel desire, but you do not chase blindly. You feel fear, but you do not retreat automatically. Feelings inform. They do not command. This discipline takes time. You will fail at first. Old habits will try to reclaim you. You will feel the urge to defend, to explain, to react. Each time you resist that urge, you strengthen the boundary. Over time, it becomes natural. Silence becomes your default. Observation becomes your instinct. People who once controlled you emotionally will lose access. Some will grow distant. Others will become respectful. A few will become hostile because loss of influence feels like loss of identity. Let them react. Their reaction confirms your growth. You will also notice something else. Your standards rise, not because you feel superior, but because you feel complete. You no longer tolerate chaos for companionship. You no longer accept disrespect for comfort. You no longer bargain with your own peace. This is where solitude becomes strength, not isolation, but independence. You enjoy company, but you do not require it. You value connection, but you do not depend on it. When others sense this, they adjust. Neediness repels. Self-containment attracts. You become difficult to read, difficult to manipulate, difficult to pressure. This difficulty is not aggression. It is clarity. People cannot find leverage because there is nothing loose to pull. At this stage, morality changes meaning. You are no longer driven by guilt or shame. You act from principle, not approval. You do not perform goodness to be seen. You act correctly because it aligns with your structure. This makes you consistent. Consistency builds trust without effort. Machiavelli never advocated chaos. He advocated control. Control of perception, control of timing, control of reaction. The unaffected man embodies all three. He does not need to announce strength. It is felt. You will stop arguing. Arguments are emotional contests for dominance. You do not need them. When you disagree, you state it once and move on. Your reality does not require consensus. You will stop chasing closure. Closure is another form of dependency. You do not need explanations to move forward. You move forward because you choose to. That choice is final. When loss comes, and it will, you do not collapse. You adjust. You absorb. You continue. Pain becomes data. Failure becomes instruction. Nothing becomes identity. This is why being unaffected is the highest form of power. It is not dominance over others. It is immunity from them. When you are immune, others lose leverage. When they lose leverage, they behave differently around you. They become cautious. They measure words. They respect boundaries they never noticed before. Some will admire you. Others will resent you. Both reactions are irrelevant. Your direction remains unchanged. At this point, you no longer seek to win every encounter. Winning is not the goal. Position is. You position yourself above emotional turbulence, above petty conflict, above reactive cycles. You understand now that power is quiet. It does not announce itself, it does not justify itself, it does not explain itself, it exists and the environment adapts. You have removed the last vulnerability, the need to be affected. Nothing hooks you, nothing drags you, nothing destabilizes you. You are not cruel. You are clear. You are not cold. You are composed. You are not detached from life. You are anchored within yourself. This is what Machiavelli truly understood. Not manipulation for its own sake, but mastery of the self as the foundation of all mastery. The man who governs his inner world governs outcomes without force. Now you move differently. You walk without urgency. You speak without excess. You decide without hesitation. You are no longer part of the emotional economy that drains most men. You are sovereign. Nothing and no one will ever affect you again because nothing and no one owns access to your inner world.